off a bit because a call came in, and so any family and friends shouldn't call us at the time we have it. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so welcome back. Now we said that this is going to be the final episode in the Managing Money in Marriage series. Basically, we've heard from a lot of people. We've said a lot of things, and so I believe that by this time we would have picked one or two stuff from it, and we should get our marriages better in a better position. Okay, so today would be the final discussion of the whole series. Now, today we want to speak about trying to generate. You see, all we've said so far is managing money, right? But today we want to look at how you can actually get the money to manage it, because um, if you don't have money to manage, then the what we've done earlier wouldn't be of any value. So one key area we want to focus on is adding value to yourselves. I mean, in your marriage. Usually, when we get married, especially if you got married at a point where you felt okay, you very grown and you are an adult and all. Sometimes the challenge there is that it becomes difficult to want to add value. I mean, at a point you feel that okay, you're old and there is not much you can do, and so on and so forth. And so today we're looking at how we can add value to ourselves. When you get married, it doesn't. The notion is that as soon as you get married, you are an adult. So like you are grown. You are expected to be a matured person, right? Yeah, before you get married. So as soon as you get married, it's more like okay, you are a matured person, and so like things like going to school look so distant, right? Well, Prissy, what do you think about
Yeah.
that?
Sometimes we think we are too old
Yeah,
to go to school. Sometimes too, when we have kids, we feel that it's having kids and schooling will be so stressful. So
yeah, yeah.
we are beyond like
Adding value to
yeah,
ourselves.
we
Yeah,
cannot yeah, but there's nothing like too old
yeah.
when it
So,
comes to adding value to
yeah.
yourself.
So usually when it gets to that point, then we get excuses why we cannot be better than we are, right? So and when it comes to jobs as well, you see that as soon as people get married or people start having children, then there is some form of risk averseness that gets built in us. All of a sudden, we can take some risk and so on and so forth. I get it. I mean, when you have additional mouths to feed, then you wouldn't just take risk without really calculating it out. But it also shouldn't prevent us from actually still going out there, being very adventurous, being exploring what is out there in terms of how we can add value to ourselves. Um, uh, so for example, I mean personally, at a very young age, I didn't think I wanted to do any master's program, and Prissy will tell you, I thought that I mean, what's the point? Um, but yeah, at a point it became necessary, and then I just went ahead with it. I mean, some of you might be spending your time, I mean, in your current work, and it doesn't feel like okay, you feel you are okay. I mean, you should at least maintain whatever you're doing for the in the meantime, so that your salary is coming constantly, no risk, blah blah blah. But at a point, if we will really need to make things work, we'll really need to start taking risks.
Risk, yeah.
Yeah, we really need to start taking risks. So whether you try to develop yourself in building a new business or you and not everyone is born as an entrepreneur, so not everyone can build a business. But when it comes to schooling or stuff, I mean, I think we can all do that to better ourselves. And one of the very common excuses out there is that, oh, if whatever I'm doing, going to school again would not add any value, then I mean, look out for what will add value. Sometimes schooling in, say, Ghana, your country, might not necessarily add any value. Find a way to go out.
Yeah, and like he said, sometimes you might school now, it might not add value at your current workplace.
Yeah.
If it means changing jobs,
Yeah,
you should take that step, because sometimes when you stay too long at that job position, you might not be adding that value, you might not be challenging yourself.
exactly.
So occasionally, or I'll say, I know people who usually rise. Sometimes they don't spend more than 5 years.
Yeah.
Between 5 to 10 years, they move to a different place just to challenge themselves. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that you get to know what is going on at other places and add to your knowledge. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Clement is powerful. Yeah. And Clement is saying risk. Hey, Paul. Hey, Jessica. And Clement, how's it going? Yeah. So, like Prissy said, yes, knowledge is never wasted. So, at this point, if it looks like whatever program you're doing is not really adding value, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. It might add value in the next few years. Or if your current workplace doesn't necessarily see the value you have by, say, doing an additional master's program or professional certification or anything, hey, there are 1,001 other jobs you could actually take on. All we are saying is that we should also look at getting our financial situation better. I mean, you can't stay wherever you
Do the same thing and expect things to
exactly
change.
and
Yeah.
expect things to change. So, yeah, I know when it comes to finances, see, there are a lot of arguments that are money arguments. You get it? I mean, if you guys can really position yourselves well, sacrifice a bit to get to a better financial position, go plan it out and execute it. For some of us, it might mean getting out of our comfort zones. It might mean you
Living apart.
living apart for some time. I mean, I remember back then when I was into all these consultancy in different countries. I mean, what that meant was that I would travel out to another country. Sometimes Prissy would join me, sometimes not. Go do whatever work and come back. I mean, it was to get us to a better financial position, because you don't want to have a situation where you fighting old battles that are avoidable just because you're not getting yourself bettered. And so, yeah, so you could decide that one person at a time. At a point, the wife could take on a new program. At another time, the husband would also take up a new program. However, you want to do it, whatever the situation is, don't stay at the same level. Year on year, you should plan out how you're going to make your financial situation better. Unfortunately, there are a lot of things that needs money to be done. I wish love could buy a lot of things, or love could help us secure a lot of things, but unfortunately we are humans, and because of the system we live in, you need money to survive. And so the more money you can make genuinely, I mean, the better it is for you. It might even cause you to grow older, right? Yeah, I mean, it's the reality. I mean, sometimes we don't want to come to terms with reality, but yeah, we well, so I mean, whatever it takes, for some for a husband out there, what it will mean is that, I mean, because if your wife is doing some master's program or PhD, something to better herself so that she can earn better, and then you guys will have more in your as your disposable income. What it means is that at a point you have to be cooking yourself. You see,
helping with household chores.
Helping with household chores, so that you're
babysitting.
Yes, fix the napkin or nappy or pampers on your child, so that your wife will have the time to also get better at whatever she's doing. And for the wives as well, usually running the home in terms of financially is done by the husband. For the wives as well, what it will mean is that the money you've been hiding in your purse and things, stop hiding that, support the home so that your husband could actually go to school and better himself. It is all targeted at you guys getting better financially, you guys looking back and being glad that you took some decisions that you took. I mean, the sacrifices are needed. And so, yes, in trying to sum up all that we've discussed in trying to manage money in marriage, what we're saying is that you would also need to earn money. I mean, for some of us, the time we use in watching soccer or Z World or Z World could be channeled at bettering ourselves. Yeah, I know someone who used to watch Z World a lot. And I'm not going to mention names, but I mean, if you see someone is smiling, is laughing about it, then you know what I'm talking about.
So at a point, at my free time after work, I hop on to watch Z World. My husband was like, "You are wasting your brains. I know you are smart. You can go back to school and do something." I'm like, "Oh, I feel I'm okay." I thought I was okay until I decided to go back to school. And it's good to like we always say, move around. When you stay at one place, you will not know the progress going on at other places. You might think that you have progressed, but that might not be the case. So you have to move to see. They say what's travel and see. Move. So when you move to other places, you get to know what is going on, because sometimes you might be at one place and you realize that the world is in the 21st century, but you are still in the 20th or the 19th century. You may never know until you move. So
and Prissy, I think you made a very important point. You see, this goes out to the area champions. And when I say area champions, I mean it might be that when you look at yourself, I mean, you are doing very well by your standards. I'm not saying that don't be content. I'm not saying that be greedy for more. What I'm saying is that you might look at yourself and you feel like, oh, you're good. In fact, some of us, the reason for us not progressing financially is early success. It's early success. When you are successful earlier in life by your standards, then you feel like, oh, I'm okay. I've arrived. Oh, why do I need to? I mean, what's the big deal? But no matter how far, yes, Clement, that's right. Don't be complacent. Don't think you've arrived. No matter how far your house is, there is another house beyond your house. And so, if you are quite successful or you've achieved what you think you want to achieve at an early age, if you don't take care, you wouldn't challenge yourself. You wouldn't want to go the extra mile to do something extra. You build one house and you feel like, oh, we good. I mean, life is good. If you can really challenge yourself, you could make your life better, and by doing that, others would also be blessed. I mean, by knowing you. Think about it. If you have 2 houses, at least you can be a blessing to someone who needs accommodation or something, or you can rent it out and use that to support someone. But if at the point of owning 1 house, you think that, okay, you're fine, then you might be denying a lot more people of their blessing. So early success, if you think you've really achieved whatever you set out to achieve, go set more difficult goals. It means that your goals are not scary enough. Go set goals that will not make you sleep. I mean, for some time now, Prissy comes, wants to crack jokes, and I go like, hey, what is on my mind? What is on my mind? Would you allow me to be laughing by heart? Yeah, so it's good to achieve your goals, but that shouldn't stop you from dreaming more. So, guys, make sure, try to be keeping records. Where were you last year? At the end of the year, check, where are you? Where do you think you want to be? And start working at it. Don't, at a point you have a dream of being paid 5,000 USD or something. When you get that, the risk, or the, what's that word? The temptation or the tendency is for you to just relent and then go like, okay, yeah, I'm fine. No, push for more. Do something better. I mean, if no one is responsible for how you end up, you have to take your matters, into your own hands and push it. So it should, and I always say that, scripture says that 2 is better than 1 because they have a good reward for their labor. If you get married and that ends up making you poorer, there is something wrong somewhere. Forgive me, I might be getting ahead of myself, but if you are better off as an individual than when you actually got married, then there should be a problem somewhere. Prissy, what do you think? Because if when you were alone you were earning $1,000 and now you are married and your spouse is also earning $1,000, that's $2,000, and that places you in a better position to do better in life. And so really, if there's a chopper flying around, and obviously because it's not a soundproof environment, you just okay. So we're good now. We have our sound back. So if just take records, analyze how is it going. Are you getting better, or it would have been better you didn't get married? Like, yeah, I mean, because marriage wouldn't just be for getting fulfilled emotionally or whatever and all that. It's also to be better financially. So if you are 2 and it looks like life is more difficult than when you were alone, then you need to really check and figure out. Yeah, exactly. Go back to the drawing board and get things better. Yeah.
Start planning.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, thanks. Now to Kolamte. Yeah, good to have you. Okay, so Prissy, do you have anything else?
So the final thing I'll say is that for we the women, most of the time we think about our kids, we think about our age, sometimes even the position that we have at our workplaces. Maybe it has taken us so long to rise to that position. And so we want to enjoy it. Let's move, let's take the risk. No age is too old. So long as you have life, there is hope. You can still better yourself and even change your profession. I don't know in Ghana, but here in the West, I know that even at age 50, 60, somebody can just decide that, okay, pivot, I don't want to be a scientist again. I want to go into this. You can.
Yeah.
It is never too late to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it's a kid and you have maybe your parents around, maybe you're already supporting your parents, you can just take the kids to them so that you have some time for yourself
Yeah.
to add some value to yourself. When you add more money, they'll be happy because you'll be able to sort them out most of the time.
Yeah.
I'll say that sometimes you have to sacrifice staying apart from your family. Currently, I'm living in a different state, and my husband lives in a different state, and it's working. We are making it work,
Yeah.
and so you can make it work.
Yeah. And so let me today I'll be in prison shoes and share one hack for making this work. You see, this is what I've discovered over this my short life so far. Your parents might have stayed at their work. I mean, that's if you work for someone and you don't have your own business. Your parents might have stayed at their work for 20 years, 30 years, and they were so proud of their and what was it, long service benefits and all.
Yeah.
I mean, for some people, they will have some thousand Ghana cedis or $1,000 for long service benefits, and because of that, they want to clock the 20-year mark. One short hack I will share with you is that wouldn't help. See, if you don't take up new challenges, you might be stagnant at in a particular job for a long time. You could even decide to be in the same organization, but try to take up better positions. I mean, try to aim higher. You can start out as a messenger in a company. The dream can be to end up as a CEO. If you also want to look outside, then yeah, go out there, try, push yourself. It's not comfortable. That's why a lot of people don't move, because you see, when you are used to whatever you do, it's easy. You just come to work and by default, you know exactly what you're supposed to do. You don't even think about it. You don't need to be innovative because it's business as usual. If you go into a different job or a different role, that will demand a lot of adjustment. That will demand a lot of pushing yourself to really excel at that role. And that is what prevents people from really going out there. Because they go like, oh, I'm fine. Yeah.
No, even there are a lot of people who complain about their current state of employment. Maybe they are not okay with the services and the employment benefits and all that.
Yeah.
They will always complain, but they are afraid to move or do something to better themselves.
Yeah.
Because they feel that the risk is less where they are.
Exactly.
And you keep on complaining like forever.
Yeah.
So you have to do something about it, because most of the times they won't change for you. When you leave, they'll get a replacement for you. So you have to rather add value to yourself.
Exactly.
Let them know that you have value.
Yeah.
When they are afraid they will lose you, they'll make things work for you. Otherwise, you also find yourself somewhere else and then get a better employer or something.
Right. Yeah. So the end game, or the long and short of it, is that don't stay stagnant. Go out there, push yourself, push your spouse, and it's your responsibility to ensure your spouse is successful. And so try help out your spouse to push each other, get better at whatever you're doing, get better at your workplaces, go for new jobs if you have to. The only way you can double or triple your salary is actually going taking up a new job. If you have to start a new business, support each other, get it done, so that at the end of the day, you would have added value to yourselves. I mean, if it's all about just staying the same way as you've been all these years, then I don't see the value in really worrying yourself to say you're living life with someone, right? Yeah. So that would bring this episode to a close. But all we're saying is that push yourself, get out there, make sure that you're better than you were yesterday, you better than you were last year. Let people look at your marriage and want to be married. I mean, and want to do well in life, right? So we'll draw down the curtain here, and as usual, always remember that no two relationships are the same. Thanks and cheers for now. Catch you again next week. Bye-bye. Look at the sources of financial pressures. Now, we've identified two main sources of financial pressure. So the first one being internal, that is internally generated in the marriage, and the one that is without, the externally generated ones. What makes you two happy, and not allow the pressure of having to impress everyone have a toll on your marriage. For example, if what you can afford is a single room somewhere, what matters is that you are happy, basically, and not what will my friends say, what will my family say, what would everyone say, apart from what would my spouse say.
Having kids is like having little bosses at home. They control what you do.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to control kids. Yes,
Yeah.
So it's not easy to handle them.
Yeah.
It brings a lot of pressure, especially if you are not that used to taking care of